the manipulative partner, the nightmarish co-worker, the murderous monster, the mentally unstable criminal. These are the things that come to mind when we think of sociopaths. We all think that they are rare cases, more commonly seen on TV than in person. However, this is not the case. The truth is that these people are very real, and according to psychologists, they make up anywhere from 1 to 4% of the world's population. So what are sociopaths really? How do they come to be? How can they learn to successfully fit into our society? Before we answer these questions, we need to understand what the term sociopath really means. Well, sociopathy is one of varying antisocial personality disorders, such as psychopathy and character neurosis. In his psychopathy checklist, Hervey Cleckley notes typical sociopathic traits such as narcissism and an abnormally small conscience. They are also prone to manipulating others for their own benefit and are very impulsive and hot-headed, which is why we sometimes hear about violent sociopaths in the news. So, how does this particular disorder develop? Well, according to various psychological journals, a sociopath develops their condition through both genetic and environmental factors, the latter being more prominent. According to a professional in the nature versus nurture debate and varying psychological articles, sociopathy is a result of an individual who carries hundreds of specific genes, which have been triggered due to certain environmental factors. These factors include any types of abuse, mistreatment, extremely incompetent parenting, bad influences, and other childhood traumas. But don't worry, just because someone carries sociopathic genes or had a troubled childhood does not mean that they will develop sociopathy. These hundreds of very specific genes have the same influence on a sociopath's development as one environmental factor. Crazy, right? This is what distinguishes a sociopath from a psychopath. A sociopath's condition is mostly due to environmental factors, along with some hereditary taints, whereas psychopathy is a result of the reverse ratio. Anyway, psychopathy is a much related but wholly different condition, and we don't have time to delve into that right now. We're talking about sociopathy. So, where were we? That's right, we were talking about how sociopaths develop. But you already know this, right? Well, not completely. A number of articles and professionals refer to the term acquired sociopathy, which is a different origin to the same condition. This is exactly what it sounds like. So, how exactly does someone acquire such an extreme condition out of nowhere? Educational articles described acquired sociopathy as when a completely normal person experiences trauma to the prefrontal cortex of their brain. Think back to Year 10 psychology class and you'll remember the prefrontal cortex is located in the frontal lobe of the brain, which is right here. It is involved in planning complex cognitive behavior, personality expression, decision-making, and moderating social behavior. When a person acquires sociopathy through trauma to this part of the brain, their intelligence and motor skills are all left intact, whilst causing them to possess permanent sociopathic traits. Now you know how sociopathy develops, but how can people with this condition learn to function successfully within our society? Doctors, psychologists, and other professionals have been trying for years to find a cure to this lifelong condition. Not only because it affects the individual, but it also affects those around them, whether that be on a large or a small scale. Treatments for sociopathy that do not work include hospitalization, imprisonment, and confrontation. However, a number of psychologists, educational sites such as Healthy Place and Psychology Today, as well as M.E. Thomas, a diagnosed sociopath, state that psychotherapy, medication, self-help groups, and adopting a systematic approach have all been proven to temporarily reduce some sociopathic behaviors. However, this is only in very, very rare cases. Kent Kills, the psychopath whisperer, states that sociopaths who are raised in a middle to upper class household are likely to become the manipulative, almost sadistic boss types, whereas those raised in a lower class household are more likely to end up as repeat offenders, being sent to jail time and time again due to their impulsive, hot-headed nature. This means that some sociopaths can fit into society as a corporate official or the controlling CEO. However, others don't fit in as well. These are the repeat offenders, the sociopaths who make the headlines on the Sunday Mail. However, this all depends on the individual's socio-economic background, as mentioned earlier. Now, where to from here? Professionals are still working towards finding ways to treat or cure the condition, as it is currently impossible for all sociopaths to fit into society whilst possessing such toxic, manipulative traits. It will also be extremely difficult to find a true cure, as it is almost impossible to do so when the condition is so heavily rooted in both genetic and environmental factors. So, now you know the answer to your questions, the reality of it all. Despite the misconceptions, sociopathy is a result of dual quirks of both nature and nurture, with the latter being the most prominent. You now also know that sociopaths can, in fact, fit in with society, whereas some cannot, but this all depends on socioeconomic backgrounds.